Beautiful soul, welcome to January 2025. What an exciting year this is going to be, I feel. If you are new to this channel, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here, and I hope you come back. For those of you who are returning, thank you so much for being here. Without you, I wouldn't do what I love to do, for the most part. So I felt today was going to be day where we talk a little bit about the energy of January and how that connects with the rest of the year. And just if you haven't already felt it, noticed it, or heard, 2025 is going to be a very interesting year, to say the least. I don't know exactly what things are going to happen, but there will definitely be a lot of ups and downs. Downs doesn't mean that it's bad. Ups, obviously, we think of as something positive. So this is not a year of expecting negative outcomes, but it is a year of letting go of what no longer serves you or you and I. And that's because when we let go of what no longer serves us, we end cycles of old, outdated systems and patterns. And when we are stuck in old systems and patterns, we keep on going in circles and repeating the same thing over and over again, which means if we have to keep going over and over, then we are not learning. So this is a year of tremendous growth. And I'm actually very excited when I talk about it, because there is a feeling of expansion. There's a feeling of expansion. So if you're watching this, and thank you for being here, there is not an iota of doubt in my mind that this year you're going to see some incredible changes in your life. Positive changes, but not without its challenges. Sometimes the most positive change, in order to happen, we have to go through some challenges. We have to go through letting go. So another way of me saying it, there's almost no way that you are going to not be letting go of stuff, whether it's people, situations, old jobs, outdated systems, outdated limiting belief systems. Anything that has been limiting you and I, all of us, is on its way to go. So what I will also say is that if you are someone who is very resistant to change, that's going to be very painful, because life always moves forward. Life is always changing. And if we're trying to hold on to what is old, we begin to stagnate. So this is, if you are someone who is okay with status quo, then likely you're going to be pushed out of your comfort zone in this year, but actually they're saying in this lifetime. So if you're watching this, you are likely someone who is wanting to or willing to be pushed beyond your comfort zone so that you can grow. And as you already know, as you already have seen, we are in tremendous space of growth, both individually and collectively. So, and by the way, I just finished editing my 12 zodiac signs for the 2025 forecast. They will be ready within the next, definitely within a week. So if you want to purchase one, there's a link down below. Get yourself free meditations, and as long as you get these meditations, you will be on my mailing list. So they will be coming to you within a week. And there's a lot of important information in these forecasts in terms of how each sign is going to grow and what is the likelihood of what situation that's going to come up for us to consider, because we are all in the process of releasing. So this year and going forward are huge times, huge years for releasing the old. All you have to do is just listen to the news and see how so many things are in shambles. And the reason why so many things are in shambles, because we are in the process of letting go and letting go of the old so that we can experience more of the new. And Mother Gaia is supporting us in this energetically, which means that we will be pushed beyond our comfort zone. So there's a logical question that comes to my mind. Well, if I have free will, why would I be pushed into something I don't want to do? It's not that you're being pushed into something that you don't want to do. It's that we are being pushed towards something greater. And in the process of that, we feel uncomfortable. So collectively speaking, individually speaking, you are here because you are adding to planet Earth's consciousness. How are you adding? You are adding by expanding your own consciousness, which adds to the collective consciousness. So you are here in a big way to assist human consciousness in rising in vibration, which means you are part of human consciousness. You have to rise in your own vibration, and you wouldn't be here listening to this if that's not what you were into, so to speak. But again, if you are someone that's okay with the status quo, you might experience a lot of resistance. So the message here is go with the flow, move with the flow. That's not always easy, because in order for us to go with the flow, we have to have trust. And there's a lot of distrusting happening in the world right now. In other words, we don't know who to trust or what to trust. And that's a very uncomfortable place to be, because if we don't trust anything or anyone, what do we trust? And that's very uncomfortable. And this is requiring us to go deep within and really assert our own independence. What do I mean by that? To be solid in who we are on the inside. What does it mean to be solid? To feel strong, to feel empowered, to be in your own power. And we humans give power away all the time without even knowing that we are doing it. And this is not a time for any of us to be unconscious. This is time for us to become so much more conscious than we have ever been before. And that's going to add to planet Earth's consciousness. So, message number one, this is a year for self-examination. If you're someone who is not into learning about yourself, you're going to feel like you're being pushed around. And that's because when you don't know how you work, you're not going to be creating your life consciously, which means you will be creating your life very unconsciously. And our unconscious has stored a whole bunch of programming. A lot of these programs are not so much negative. Yes, some of them are negative, but we could say they are more in limiting in nature. So if you are creating life unconsciously, and you are creating from a space of limitations, then what you will experience more of is just more limitations. So we have to look at ourselves in order to realize our potential so that we can see how we stand in our own way. I'm talking about shadow work, and we all stand in our own way. There was a documentary I watched the other day with Jonah Hills, and one of the phrases he said was that humans are really good at standing in their own way of happiness. And I happen to agree with that. We just don't always know that we are doing it, because we are doing it mostly unconsciously. So this is a huge year for examination. Thank you. They're asking me to talk about January. What I felt coming into January is a sense of uneasiness, not because there is something wrong, but it's a feeling that something is not working. Something is no longer working. And when I have that feeling, I feel a little bit conflicted, because if something is no longer working, then that means I either keep doing what's no longer working, which would be a waste of time, in my opinion, or I do something different. I make a change. But I don't know what the change is, and they're saying yet. So you will likely feel in January that things are no longer working. You're feeling this perpetual, something is off, something is missing, something is not quite right. And this is going to offer you an opportunity to dig deep into yourself and ask yourself some fundamental questions. And one of the first questions is this: who am I and who do I choose to be going forward if that is different? And when you ask yourself the question, who am I, you likely start, your brain will likely start saying many things. I'm a teacher, I'm a mother, I am a boss, I am a worker. No, those are the roles you play. That's not who you are. We all play these different roles in our lives, but that's not who we are. We are essentially consciousness playing out different roles that we identify with. So the question, who are you, is really for you to look within yourself and ask yourself, what do I identify with? Do I identify myself with lack? Do I identify myself with as my insecurities? Do I identify myself as someone who is not worthy? All these things that I just mentioned, and there are plenty more, are all limiting beliefs. They're all limiting beliefs. And as long as we keep believing and engaging with these limiting beliefs, then what we believe is something limited, and we create that which we believe. So it will continue create in limited ways. And we are virtually unlimited beings. Yes, we have a physical body, and that has its own limitations. But beyond that, we are literally unlimited beings. Just like you can't put, quote unquote, God in the box, because we can't, it's impossible. We can't put ourselves in the box, but we do. It's called life. This is how we engage with life. We create certain boxes, and these boxes serve us as our structures. Structures are important, structures are necessary. Structures is what gives us safety and security and predictability. Structures are good, but some of the structures that we are clinging onto are no longer solid. And in order to feel more solid, we have to have more solid structures to rely on. If you have a structure, a belief system that makes you see yourself in negative ways, then that's not a very strong structure for you to create from, because you will be coming from a place of lacking. We as human beings tend to think, well, we identify with what we are lacking. I don't have this, therefore it means this. Or I am not good enough, and because I don't feel good enough, I don't deserve to be loved. Those are our belief systems. And we are being really encouraged to look at our predominant belief systems. So the question, who are you, should really be directed as what is it that I identify with? Do I identify with myself as a whole person? Or do I identify myself as a lackful person, L-A-C-K? Because if we identify ourselves as a lacking person, we live from the space of lack. The more we create from the space of lack, the more we experience more lack in our life. Nobody wants to experience lack. I have never heard one person say, I want to experience more lack, please, L-A-C-K. No, everyone wants abundance. But in order for us to receive abundance, we have to be willing to accept abundance. And a lot of us are not in a space to accept abundance. Why? One of the things is that we believe that we are not worthy. So some of our unworthiness issues are likely going to come up in this next several months, but particularly it starts in January, where you start to question your own value. When you start to question your own value, you start to question your own intrinsic value. Everything has its own intrinsic value. So do you. There's no one like you. You're unique. Without you, the universe wouldn't be the same. You have a very specific view of things that's very unique to you, and that's how the universe learns about itself. So you are an integral part to this entire consciousness. So in terms of value, you are invaluable. It's almost hard to attach value to. You are that important. However, you may not feel that. And I'm not saying, oh, look at me, I'm important. I'm important. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the word importance that comes from a space of knowing yourself, knowing your truth, and being okay and confident in who you are. Which means if you're not someone who's confident, that's likely going to come up for you in January. You are likely to be faced with such a situation that's going to make you feel that you are not good enough. It's not that you are not good enough, it's that you believe you are not good enough. So likely in the month of January, you're going to be triggers around your value. Okay, so it's important for you to own your value. I have 5 messages that the universe told me to share with you. Message number 1, be okay with the changes that are coming. Keep saying yes. Be okay with the changes that are coming. Keep saying yes. Again, it's not news to anyone that we are in a huge space of tremendous evolution. We are evolving. We are emerging. We are in a state of emerging into a higher version of ourselves. And that requires us to go through some changes. You cannot be a higher version of yourself if you are thinking less of yourself, because thinking less of yourself keeps you down in vibration. And higher version is a higher vibration. So notice what comes up for you in January, and notice if there are any situations or people for that matter that are going to trigger you in terms of your own worthiness. If that happens, if you realize that deep inside you feel unworthy of being loved, having a lot of abundance, being happy, being content, if you believe that you are not worthy, and that would be a very deeply unconscious programming, because we often tell ourselves, oh no, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, but we're having a really difficult time attracting what we want. So if your own unworthiness challenges come up this year, but particularly in January, it would behoove you to really look into your belief system. This is a time where we want our old belief system to shift into more positive, more empowering belief systems. If you, for example, tell yourself, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, maybe it's not a matter of you not being able to do it. Maybe it's more a matter of you of not willing to try. Well, those are 2 different things. Now, of course, if I said to you, you wouldn't say, well, I can't fly. Well, of course not. You're not born to have wings. You can get on an airplane, but you have no wings. So yes, you can't fly, yes. But when you tell yourself, I can't try something new, I can't get a new job, I can't get a new partner, it's not that you can't. It's more, are you willing to do what is required of you in order to experience that? That's a very different question. So keep saying yes. Keep saying yes to opportunities, of course, using your discernment. And I feel like 2025 is going to be full of opportunities for everyone. Not all opportunities will be ones that are good for us, but life is going to be filled with opportunities. Now, what they're saying to me is that sometimes, in order for you to see these opportunities as viable options, you have to open your mind. So you may not feel like you have any opportunities, but if you were to shift your perspective about you, I suspect you would start to see more opportunities coming your way. So this is really asking us to be really clear on what we believe about ourselves. be really clear on what we believe about ourselves. If you believe, for example, that you are not good enough, I'll just use that example because it's very simple. If you believe you're not good enough, and you know that you believe that, well, you have two options. You either continue believing that, or you decide to believe something else. When you believe that you are not worthy, you're going to hold yourself back. That's just the way it is. On the other hand, when you change what you believe about yourself, you're going to be much more open to different opportunities, and you will be in much less resistance to life in general. So keep saying yes also means keep saying yes to you. What does that mean? Don't let other people change your mind without your knowing where you stand. Don't let other people change your mind without you knowing where you stand. Because if someone wants to change your mind, but what their idea is doesn't really deeply resonate with you, then you shouldn't accept it. And oftentimes we accept things without even knowing if they're good for us. So again, this is directing me to talk about the importance of inner work. I mean, this is pretty much all I talk about because this is what I believe I was born to do, to help us all see our greatness. And that requires us to look within. Also, they're saying patience, 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 and more patience. This is not a year to rush through things blindly. This is a year to really consider things, to really look at opportunities and consider these opportunities from various angles. Most importantly, asking you the question, is this right for me? Is this right for me? Something may be presented to you and it may not be right for you. And if you're just jumping into it blindly, then you are doing yourself disservice. And that's because if you jump into something blindly without considering if it really is good for you, you're going to suffer because you're going to be in a situation you really don't want to be in. So you don't want to make choices from an unconscious space, ever, but especially in 2025. Message number 2, keep moving forward. If you are tempted to go back to something that has not worked in the past, either change your ways or don't bother. The old systems are referred to as old for a reason. They are meant to be left behind. There will also be temptations abound, and some of these temptations are going to serve as tests for us. I'll give you an example. Let's say someone offered you your old job back, and you are not working right now, okay? And you left the old job because you didn't like it. You didn't like it, it was sucking the life out of you, you were not happy. But someone comes back and offers you your job back, and you are in a position where you need to make money. So you might jump at the opportunity to earn a living, which is very valid and very important. At the same time, jumping into something you really don't want to do. So here's the thing. If that's presented to you and you have no other options, make sure that whatever you go back into, either you change how you feel about it, or if nothing else changes and everything is the same, you're going to very shortly find yourself in a situation where you are going to refer to this as a mistake. Shit, I made a mistake. Well, no, not necessarily. Mistake is only something you don't learn from. If you need to make a mistake again to learn from it, then consider that as a blessing. So this is really paying attention to things that are being presented and asking the question, is this right for me? Is this right for me? Now, in this specific example, you need money. Okay, so you go to the old job back, nothing has changed, and you're like, oh, I'm miserable, but at least I'm making money. That's a very valid point. in that case, what you can do is you can look at the situation as a short-term solution, realizing that you are here temporarily, or you are going back temporarily, but ultimately, the goal is to experience something better for yourself. So it will allow you to feel less stuck. Now, if we take a relationship as an example, and you're going back to a relationship that hasn't worked before, and neither you or the other person has changed, then you're going back to again, risking a mistake. Okay, make sure that whatever you are tempted to go back to is really something that you are now aligned with. Chances are, if something is in the past, then it's meant to be in the past. It's not always the case, but chances are pretty high. So make sure that whatever you are tempted with in terms of going back to a situation, whatever it is, that it's really something that you're aligned with now. You may have been aligned with it before, but you may not be aligned with it right now. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to, by going back, you're going to feel like you're stuck again. And you don't want to feel stuck. Message number 3. Pay attention to your feelings. If your logic says one thing, but you have a feeling that does not match your thoughts, it's up to you to examine why. I'm all about being connected to feelings and emotions because they tell us a story. They help us figure out what's going on. And we humans often have a tendency to push our feelings aside, because whether it's because they're not important, we're very logically based, or we're just disconnected from our feelings. Sometimes, again, you may be presented with a situation that logically says, no, it has this, and that, so it should make me happy. But something inside you says, I don't know. So sometimes what logically makes sense may not necessarily correspond to what you really want, to what your soul wants to express. And this is the season for expression. We are all here to express a greater version of ourselves. So be mindful of your triggers, be mindful of how you're feeling, be mindful of your emotional body. It's very important to pay attention to your emotional body, not so that you be swayed by it, because we need our logic, but so that you can be in more congruence with yourself. What does that mean? To be more aligned, to be more in balance. And in order for all of us to feel more balanced and more aligned, we have to take care of very basic things: body, mind, and soul. So this year, perhaps starting in January, is very much about setting up practices that will help us all to be more balanced and be at peace with ourselves. Why? Because when we are more balanced, when we are at peace with ourselves, we approach our life very, very differently. For one, we are much more open to receiving. We're less in resistance. And that's actually what I'm describing as a divine feminine. Okay, number 4, be or become your own best friend. Understand your own unconscious needs so that you can approach them in healthier ways. This is talking about inner work again. And I wrote, this is not a year of being stuck in your own unconscious ways or limiting patterns. Again, when we get stuck in our old limiting patterns and we don't recognize these patterns, then what we're doing is we're going in circles. We're stuck. We don't want to feel stuck anymore. We don't want to be stuck anymore. And a lot of the times we feel stuck is because the stuckness is somehow coming from within. We're often in a situation where we can freely leave, but we, for whatever reason, choose not to. And it's really important for us to identify if we find ourselves in a situation where we don't want to be. It's really important to examine the reasons. Why am I in a situation I don't want to be in? Why am I in a situation I don't want to be in? Because if you are in a situation, even though you don't want to be in it, then there must be something you're getting from it. You just don't know what it is. Here's the thing. The moment you realize what you're getting from it, i.e. The lesson, the moment you can satisfy some inner need, and it's the moment where you can move on. So you no longer have to be stuck. So you no longer have to feel stuck. Number 5, take stock or inventory of what you have learned from your experiences so that you don't have to go back and forth all over again. Move on, release. Going back to the January energy, where I'm feeling a little bit like in flux. I'm neither coming, neither going. I kind of feel a little bit, almost a little bit stuck, I would say, but not hugely, but there's a feeling of almost stuckness. And the feeling is, this is not working, but what is it that I want to do? And I don't know what it is that I want to do. It hasn't clarified itself to me. So in January, you are likely going to feel a little bit unsure of your situation, of yourself, of your place in the world. And it's almost like that is necessary for you to open up to all these other opportunities that are awaiting you, but you can't see them yet. We can't see them yet. Like I said, this is a year of a lot of opportunities, but January is starting almost with the energy of, hey, notice something is not working. And you will likely feel it around in your heart chakra. Something is not working. You either it's starting not to work or it hasn't been working for a long time, but now you're realizing, man, this is just not working. Acknowledge that that's the case, if this makes sense to you, and just be at peace with the fact that it's no longer working. Just be at peace with the fact that it's no longer working, and be open to something new revealing itself in time. In other words, I don't feel you have to do anything in January unless you absolutely have to. And let the next steps reveal themselves to you. Okay, so you might actually feel like you're a little bit stuck in January, but I feel like this is a necessary time to pause, to reconsider, to reevaluate, so that we can take new and different steps going forward. Ones that will make us feel more satisfied, more whole, more at peace, whatever it may be, more joyful, more happy. Number 6, take good care of your basic needs, body, mind, soul. This leads to more balance, and everything else opens from that. So it's something I talked about a little bit earlier. In order to be at peace with ourselves, we need to find peace from within. Okay? If we don't have peace from within, we don't have peace. When we are much more in balance, when we take care of our body, when we take care of our mind, when we take care of our soul, we become much more at peace with ourselves because we're no longer at odds. We're just flowing. We're in the flow. And that is a beautiful space to be. I want to say the word for enlightenment. It's like the more balance, thank you, the more balance we are with ourselves, the more we are embodying our inner light, our light. And you and I are here to embody our light or embody our power so that we can share it with the world, so that you and I can share it with the world. Why? Because when we live in an empowered society, when we live in our own empowerment, life is much more peaceful. So I talked about this before. In order for us to experience more peace in the world, we have to start from within. We have to find more inner peace, which means to find more inner peace, we have to resolve the inner conflict, the inner war that it's happening on the inside. I call it shadow work. Shadow work is an incredible way to resolve your inner conflict and to integrate your polarities. And at the end of the day, when we begin to integrate our polarities, we no longer live in judgments. good, bad, terrible, ugly, pretty, ugly. We no longer live in extremes. We live in harmony. Thank you. We live in harmony. So let me ask you a question. Would you like to have more harmony within you? Would you like to feel more harmonious on the inside? Would you like to experience more harmonious life? 100% of you will say yes. Who doesn't want to be at harmony? Who doesn't want peace? Everyone wants that. So, this is also a year and a month of radical acceptance. If you don't accept yourself, for whatever reason, and we humans do it, you are not in congruency with yourself, which means you're at odds. If you are at odds with yourself, it's the same way as saying that you are at war with yourself. When you are at war with yourself, you're in resistance to yourself. Resistance is often what gives us the greatest pain. Okay? Doesn't mean resistance is bad. Too much resistance equals suffering. So the more time we take to realign ourselves from inside out through radical acceptance, the more we will cultivate the inner sense of calmness and an inner sense, I want to say, of peaceful authority. You want to be your own authority. Doesn't mean you can't listen to somebody, doesn't mean you can't take somebody's advice, but you need to be your own best authority. If you are not your own authority, which comes with knowing who you are and what you want, if you are not in your own authority, then someone has authority over you. If someone has authority over you, then you are much more likely to be swayed or manipulated. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that. And that's whether collectively or in relationships. Acceptance also doesn't mean that, let's say, life is just the way it is, I just have to accept it. Well, if it is that way right now, you have no other option but to accept it, but know that that can always change. If there's something you don't like about yourself, let's use weight, for example, because everybody understands that, and you're not happy with your weight, okay, but don't fight it. Be at peace with what is right now. What does that look like? Find peace with the fact that right now you might be feeling a little bit overweight, because it is what it is. There's no point in trying to fight it. There's no point. Accept it that that's what it is for now. And always know that you can take steps to lose some weight. What it does, it offers you much less resistance and much more peace, so that when you decide to make this change, you're going to make this change from a space of empowerment versus feeling that you are somehow lacking, not good enough, a bad person, whatever it may be. So acceptance doesn't mean you accept the things as they are and they're bad and therefore it's going to be bad for the rest of your life. No, accept that it is right now what it is, knowing that it can always change, because life is in a constant change. Life is in a constant shift. Same applies towards money. If there is, actually, let's talk about this one, because during the Zodiac forecast, there was quite a few signs, got messages about a lot of money and abundance coming in. So in order for you, for example, to receive abundance, you have to resolve your own fears around money. If you have a lot of fears around money is bad, money is evil, money overpowers people. No, money doesn't do that. People do that. But if you have negative connotations tied to the idea of money, you're going to be pursuing money, but it's going to feel like a struggle because you have a negative association with it, and that's very disempowering. So if you are in a position when you don't have a lot of money right now and you don't like it, I wouldn't either. Accept it for what it is, knowing that it can always change. Accept it for what it is right now in this moment, knowing that it can always change. We have a tendency to project our negative limiting beliefs forward, and we believe that that's how it's always going to be. No, you have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. You may become one of the richest people because, I don't know, some miracle happens. We just don't know. We just don't know. So radical acceptance in many different ways, but the biggest one is acceptance of yourself wholly, and unconditionally. If you have a nasty side to you and you know you have it, there's no point in trying to deny it. Accept it. You have a nasty side to you. Does that mean that you're a nasty person? No, it just means you have a nasty side to you and you use it, or you choose to use it, or you play with it. It doesn't mean that's who you are. It doesn't mean you're a nasty person. You just have a nasty side to you. Be okay with that. Don't fight it. So that's on acceptance. Priorities is another big one. Making sure that we are pursuing the right priorities for us. Somebody else's priority is likely not your priority. If you are trying to prioritize your life by looking at other people's priorities and what's worked for them and trying to apply it to you, you can, but what worked for them may not work for you. You have to be your own best ambassador. What worked for them doesn't mean that it will work for you. Sometimes it does, but not always. So what this means here is, first of all, prioritizing yourself. What does that mean? To prioritize yourself means to take yourself seriously, and sometimes not so seriously, and to make yourself be important. You are the most important person in your life. Some people are going to say, no, my mother is, my child is. Oh, no. They're as important, yes. But without you, their importance is lost because it's a connection. You are the most important person in your life. Everything comes after. You have to take good care of yourself, because if you don't, all those other people are not going to get the best of you. You're going to rob them. So it's up to you to take really good care of yourself. That's not being selfish. That's being selfless to yourself. And from that space, give. A lot of people tend to overgive. I see it a lot, and it comes from a wound, of being abandoned, fears of being abandoned, fears of being left behind. So a lot of people overgive. You probably have overgiven at times, but if you're someone who tends to overgive on a regular basis, it's important for you to examine why you tend to overgive so much. I'm not saying don't give. Please give of yourself, but make sure you're giving from the right space. If your giving is conditional, in other words, I'm going to give so they can accept me, then what you're doing is you're feeding the inner monster that says that you're not good enough. You don't want to do that anymore. That is a belief system. That's part of the old belief system. You want to leave that behind because it's no longer serving you. You can draw a lot of wisdom from your lessons, but time to leave that old code behind. And when I say old code, I'm referring to your ego. If you're someone who is very much in your head, it would behoove you to find some practices in order to calm your mind. This is not a time to be running around like a chicken without a head, and overextending your energy where you shouldn't be overextending your energy. It's how I'm going to say it. In other words, having peaceful mind leads to peaceful heart, because when the mind is calm, the heart is more open. When we are in that state, we are opening more of our hearts. We become more passionate, more loving, more caring, more compassionate. If we are too much in our head, we will have a tendency to live out our stories. And a lot of the stories that we humans have are limiting stories. So A prerequisite to feeling peaceful is to quiet your mind. You cannot eliminate your mind. You cannot shut your mind up. Oftentimes it's almost impossible. But you're here to create more peace with your mind or in your mind. And that is usually done through a whole bunch of different practices, but it is practices. It's coming back to yourself every time you every moment, every chance you get. What does that mean? It's as simple as closing your eyes, taking a breath, and tuning into your heart. You do those few breaths and tune into your heart, you'll notice that your mind is going to slow down. It is from that space that you want to make your big choices and decisions. It is from that space that you make your choice. You want to make your choices and your big decisions. Why? Because when you're in that space, you are tapping more into your innate wisdom. And you have innate wisdom. Everyone has innate wisdom. It is only that sometimes we are not tapping into this wisdom because our head is too loud. So quieting your mind is going to allow you to take better advantage, I would say, from your inner wisdom. And you have inner wisdom. We all do. Is there anything else? No, I think that's what I want to say. So let me know how this sounded for you, how this felt for you. Let me know your experience of these messages. Again, if you are wanting to have individual zodiac signs, get yourself the channeled meditations, free channeled meditations, and you will be on my list. They will be ready within a week. And I will also post links on other YouTube videos. So with that said, I want to thank you for your time. I hope you have a fabulous beginning to 2025. It's a year of a lot of opportunities and a lot of risks. So I, for one, feel very excited, but I don't quite know what that is. So I have a sense of excitement with this, and I hope you do too. Whatever you have dreamed for yourself, recognize that there is something even more. So be open to move beyond your expectations. Be open to experience your life beyond your wildest expectations. This is how powerful this is. This is how powerful I'm feeling it. So with that said, thank you so much for being here. If you would like to work with me and my team to help you with your own limiting belief systems, that information is down below. Thank you so much once again, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.